everyone. So we're ready for peer review. This process, again, I value because I feel I learn the most about my writing through peer reviewing others' work. And I hope you feel the same after you complete this process. So, what I would like you to do is all of you should have copied and pasted these peer review revision directions into your rough draft of your article. They should go after the references. And of course, you'll delete those once you are ready to turn in your final draft. But I thought this would be the easiest way for you to get feedback from your peers. Now, I put this little note in at the top because students get so defensive sometimes about their writing, and I just want to remind you why we're going through this process is for us to strengthen our writing as well as to get another set of eyes or two on our papers, and what we can do to make sure that our readers are getting a clear understanding based on our writing. And so, what I always tell students is the reader's always right. If the reader doesn't understand, especially if both of your peer reviewers feel confused, then that's on the author's shoulders. And you're going to have to make sure that you clarify and take their suggestions into account. So, the process I would like you to go through is to, for each of the peers in which you're conducting a peer review, open up their their Word document, and read their entire article without doing anything else. Just do a quick read. And then where it says initial positive feedback, that's where I want you to just give your overall first impression. I call this sandwiching because we're going to start with positive feedback and we're going to end with positive feedback. So just any positive first impressions that you have about the manuscript. And then, now, not every single paper may address every single item on this checklist, but a majority of them should be considered. So, for example, importance or significance of the topic. All of your papers should have that. And then I give you some guidelines, some questions to answer. Now, when you're giving this part of the critical feedback, the meat of the sandwich, so to speak, make sure that when you're giving suggestions that you also give a concrete example. The author may take or leave that example, but just having an example will provide the author more context in moving forward with revisions. So don't just say, is this topic important either from a theoretical or practical perspective? Don't just say yes. If it's yes, explain why it's a yes. If it's a no, then what can the author do to make that clear? So I hope that makes sense because that's really important. And those of you who are maybe teaching writing right now or have taught writing recently in your classrooms know that when peer reviews are done well, it's amazing, but when they're done poorly, they don't help anybody improve their writing. And I think this is the piece that has to be there. We can't just have yes, no. We need concrete evidence of that yes, no. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every one of these overall points. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I want you to walk through this review and give your peer review, the peer reviews for your peers. That was really redundant, and I apologize. But make sure you're giving them quality feedback. Okay. You can see here, does each study review correspond with a specific point, theme, etc. from the matrix? Your peer reviewers are not going to see the matrix, so that does not necessarily apply, but I put it there because I also want you to use this list as a self-checklist where you walk through these before you even give it to a peer to review and make sure that you're hitting each of these points. Then at the end, you should have, for your peer reviewers, listed a question or a comment or two or three or four or five that you want your peers to address. And so make sure that for each one of these questions or comments that you do fully address and give feedback to each of your peers on these comments. And then to end the review, I always like ending with a positive. We all need to feel good about all the hard work we've put in on these manuscripts and just kind of leave your peer with a lasting positive thought. And that's pretty much it. So once you complete the review, save this document with a new name. So I would save it with your last name and then the author's last name right directly afterward. And then post the review back to the forum for your peers to read and to hopefully make some really good revisions to their paper. Now, it really is up to each author what they take and what they leave. But I just want you to know that if you're getting good quality feedback and you should have integrated some of that feedback into your revision and I don't see that, that will impact your final grade. So I want you to take this process very seriously because our goal is not only an A for the class, but we want to get you published out there and giving back to your field, contributing your amazing insights and your work in this class to the field at large. So let me exit out of here. I just wanted to show you really quickly. This is where the forum you're going to post your work. Here are the groups. I don't know on your end if this says annotated bib peer review. All that means is that I'm using the same groupings that I had used for the annotated bib peer review. So the same groupings, and that's why that is showing up as annotated peer review. All right. The last thing I want to say is figuring out the Zoom meeting times. Please do this as soon as possible, even in week 4. If all of you could start thinking about when you would be available to meet during for a synchronous Zoom meeting, that would be wonderful because we only have a couple of days. I'm going to open this document up so you can see. There's only going to be a couple of days that I'm going to be available for the peer review that week, and it's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I want each group to give me a time, like an hour time frame. It may take a little more than an hour, but give me a 2-hour block. Yeah, I actually say 2-hour block when we could meet on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And be paying attention to the other groups so there's no overlap. So we're in groups of 4, so this should not be too difficult for us to organize a time where we can all chat. And you're probably thinking, well, we just did these written peer reviews. Why do we need to come together in Zoom? When we have dialogue, like face-to-face dialogue, and we can ask follow-up questions in a very dialogic, conversational way, we go deeper. And this is also an opportunity for me to hear all of your responses from your peer reviews and to go a little bit deeper. But then as well, I can fill in any gaps that I see. So if I hear students kind of miss what I feel is a critical piece for the student to revise, then I can chime in. So please do this as soon as possible. Complete the Zoom meeting Google Doc as soon as you are able. I think that's it. The only last thing I will say is that I'm currently working on week 6 on my own VoiceThread presentation as a model, and I should be able to get that in later today. All right, enjoy the rest of the class. I'm so looking forward to reading all of your amazing work and the culmination of the research that you've put in so far. Have a good one.